You know what's strange? Some of the calmest, most composed people you meet are carrying the loudest storms inside them. They smile at the right moments, say the right things, and seem perfectly in control. Yet somehow you never really know what they feel. We tend to believe that emotions are meant to be expressed, that if something matters, it should be visible. But the truth is, not everyone works that way. Some people have learned to hide their feelings so well that even they struggle to recognize them anymore. Picture this. Someone sits in a room full of friends, laughing at the right jokes, nodding at the right times. On the outside, everything looks normal. But inside, there's a constant filtering system. Every emotion is analyzed, judged, and often dismissed before it ever reaches the surface. Think about it. Why would someone do this? Why would a person silence their own emotional voice? The answer usually doesn't begin in adulthood. It begins much earlier. For many, hiding feelings is not a choice. It's a survival strategy. Growing up in environments where emotions were ignored, punished, or misunderstood teaches the brain a simple rule: expressing how you feel is unsafe. So the mind adapts. Instead of reacting naturally, it builds control. Instead of sharing vulnerability, it creates distance. Over time, this becomes automatic. Not showing emotion starts to feel like strength, even though it's often rooted in protection. But here's the interesting part. The brain doesn't actually erase those emotions, it just redirects them. Research in psychology, especially studies around emotional suppression, shows that when people consistently hide their feelings, those emotions don't disappear. They accumulate. They show up in indirect ways: stress, overthinking, sudden irritability, or even physical symptoms like fatigue and tension. And this is where things get strange. The very thing that once protected them begins to isolate them. Because when you hide your feelings long enough, people stop asking how you feel. They assume you're fine. They see the surface, not the depth. Historically, this pattern has been reinforced by culture. Many societies have long associated emotional control with maturity, especially for men. Phrases like "stay strong" or "don't be too sensitive" subtly train people to disconnect from their emotional world. Even today, in fast-paced modern life, emotional suppression is often rewarded. Being low maintenance, easygoing, or unbothered is praised. But rarely do we question what it costs internally. Here's what most people don't realize. People who hide their feelings are often deeply emotional. In fact, they may feel things more intensely than others. The difference is, they've learned to process everything internally, without expression. And that creates a hidden paradox. They crave understanding yet struggle to open up. They want connection yet fear being seen. So they exist in a space where they are surrounded by people, but still feel alone. But here's the deeper insight. Hiding feelings is not about weakness. It's about adaptation. It's what the mind does when it believes vulnerability could lead to pain. The problem is, what protects you in one chapter of life can quietly limit you in the next. Because real connection doesn't come from perfection. It comes from being seen, even in the messy, uncertain parts. So the next time you meet someone who seems emotionally distant, remember this. You might not be looking at a person who feels less. You might be looking at someone who has simply learned to feel in silence. And maybe the real question isn't why they hide their feelings, but what would make them feel safe enough to stop. If this made you think a little differently, consider subscribing.